Hi everybody, welcome back. In this video what we're going to be doing is looking at how to, it's going to be a slightly manual process, but in general how to make some nice tables in Excel related to uh, regression output and regression models. So there are certain packages that you could use within R or Python or otherwise to make tables, but it's easy enough, and if you have the time, you can copy the data into Excel and make some nice tables. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So here I've got a wage regression. I'm using the National Survey of College Graduates public data set. Public data set, and this is out there for anybody to use. So what I'm going to do first, this is going to be super basic, but the primary purpose is to show the tables. But here I'm going to restrict the data set only to people who are working. There are some funky things with people who don't have any earnings or who skip that question. Their income gets coded in the data set as 9,999,998. So we're going to get rid of those people. We're also going to get rid of people who have zero earnings. I could just do maybe greater than zero. It doesn't make much difference, but we need to do that because I'm going to use a log level regression, and you can't take a log of a zero. So just to get rid of some of the funky people who have very, very small earnings, so they probably have some specific, strange thing. So we're just going to restrict the data to those people who make more than $1,000, and in this case we're going to use only bachelor degree holders. So DGRDG is your highest degree, and so we're going to use people who have only a bachelor's degree. Going to square the age, get an age squared term, and then we have a couple regressions here. So I'm not going to show you all of this, but to just look at the summary statistics, we could look at, say for example, we want to look at how do people who work at young businesses, businesses that have been established for 5 years or less, how do their salaries compare to people who work for more established businesses? And to do that, we're going to use new business as the independent variable. We need to have this C because that stands for categorical. So yes or no, in this case 1 or 0. You see we have some of that same in our more robust wage equation. We have some of that same stuff for categorical variables for race, whether or not a spouse works. So essentially dummy variables here. U.S. citizen, we could put a G here, we could put a G or a C here, but because those only have 2 categories, we don't need to worry about it. Parents' education for the mom and dad. So in any case, we run this regression, and we'll see here that this is going to be the output, and people with a new business holding else all the other variables constant. People who work for a new business, so yes, working for a new business, have associated wages of lower wages of 23.57% lower wages than people who don't work for a new business. So in any case, the whole point here is what we want to do is get this data into Excel and make it into a nice table. So what I'm going to do is, just for the data part here, I'm going to copy all that, open up Excel, and we're gonna insert it here. It's not going to be pretty, but on the bright side, you can see that none of these variables have spaces. The only spaces are in between the columns. So in data, we're going to do text to columns, delimited. We're going to delimit this by spaces. Commas are more common, but this is going to give us exactly what we need. And so what we had here, these were the coefficients, the standard errors, I think the t-statistics, we're not going to use those. We'll use the p-values, and we don't need these either. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of those. I'm going to move these over. And now we need to, I guess, maybe first of all, we can go ahead and change these variable names. And so I'm going to do new business, male, so gender, male. And then race is going to get its own special thing with these categories. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. So essentially, inside of that National Survey of College Graduates, it has a data dictionary, PPC G19. This is for the 2019. And what we can do is we can look at, for example, race M is the name of the variable. And you'll see that, for example, if it's coded as a 1, it's Asian, American Indian, Black, White, Native Hawaiian, multiple race. And inside of this, the 1 is the omitted category. So all of these are relative to the base category, which is Asian. So you can compare the race for each race. All of these coefficients are relative to the wages, the earnings of Asians. And recall that I did make this a log regression, so these can be interpreted as percentages. Okay, so for example here, people working for a new business make 23% less than people working for established businesses. And so then here we have American Indian, Black, White, so on and so forth. I'm going to pause the video and fill in the rest of these variables. So just a second, I'll be right back. Okay, I've got these filled out. I'm going to keep those basic for now. Fill these in, make probably better names for these, and we're going to see how we're actually going to do some different things to these later. But first, before we do that, we've got the intercept. To start making this table look nice, what I want you to do first is go ahead and number these down. So 1, 2, all the way down, copy that, and then just paste it again. And what that's going to accomplish here is start with the row above. I'm going to do Control-Shift down to select all that, Control-Shift-L to filter it. And then we've got 1, and we have another one down here. So if we want to put a blank space in between each of these, we can do that as follows by sorting largest to smallest. So now we have a blank space. What's commonly found in a lot of regression results is you'll have the coefficient on top. You'll have the standard error below that, so it would eventually end up looking like 0.055 in parentheses below, and then this would be rounded, let's say 8.45, and because it has a 0.00 coefficient, we would give that 3 stars to be 0.45 to be statistically significant. And this is what we want it to look like. if we typed all that in for all of these, it would take forever. So we don't want to do that. Instead, we're going to kind of structure this so that we can do all of it automatically, and I'm going to show you how to do that here real quick. So first of all, go ahead and copy over the coefficient, and you can start by copying over the standard error below it, but we want this to be in parentheses. And let's say we're going to give it 3 decimal places. To do that, you'll see some of these are not 3 decimal places, so we're going to use a round function and a concatenate function to get that in parentheses. So we're going to use concat, and the first line of text is going to be in open parentheses, comma. The second bit of text is going to be a rounded version of this standard error. Let's give it 3 digits. And the last is going to be a closed parentheses. Then we close our parentheses for the function. You'll see that gives us our function there. The p-values we'll get to in a second, but if you take both of these and you copy it down, you're good to go there. So, and if you want to get rid of these, highlight all of that. I mean, they might come back later, and just right before you end up copying it over to Word, ignore that error. That'll get rid of all those. And eventually you would do something like this. But we don't have our stars yet, so let's just do that real quick. To get our stars, let's make a little p-value table. So if p is less than 0.01, so from 0 to 0.01, that's going to get 3 stars. Then up to 0.05, 2 stars, and 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, there we go, 1 star. And this we can think of as strongly significant. Here we think of just this as significant, and here we think of this conventionally as weakly significant. And if it's above 0.1, we commonly think of that as not statistically significant. So to get that, let's go ahead and do a VLOOKUP. Here's our p-values. So here's our p-values. We can do a VLOOKUP. I'm going to look up this from this table. Hopefully I've done it right. Let's see. Really, we only need this. Oops. We only need this much. And then we want to hit, at least on Windows, F4 to fix that table in place no matter what. We want the second column. And because it's going up in ascending order, we use a 1 here for this last parameter. The values in the first column of the table must be sorted in ascending order. So let's hopefully see what we got. Let's see. I think these need to be, up 1. There we go. Okay, so that's, above 0 up until 0.1, it gets 3 stars. Then from 0.1 up to 0.5, it gets 2 stars. From 0.5 and up, it gets 1 star. And then if it's above 0.1, no stars. We might even need to have let me just check this real quick. Yeah, so it's getting a 0. Let's put in, alright. So I'm putting in a space there, so for Excel to know that it's not just a blank spot, we put in an apostrophe first, and then a space, and then that'll give us a blank space. And that'll give this, instead of having 0, that'll give it a blank, which is what we want. Okay, so then copy those, 2 of those. I mean, I guess you could theoretically go all the way down. We're not going to use this one, so it doesn't really matter. But since I want it to look a little bit nicer, even though we're not going to use it in the end, just copy that down. Okay, so we're on our way. Next step, we want to round this as well, and maybe actually, I think if we keep it at 4 digits, it'll be okay. So then we have 23.57%. Either that or, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Okay, so next we're going to concatenate the text beside the coefficient. A rounded version of that. Round the coefficient to 4 digits, and then concatenate on text number 2. We don't need the quote. We're just going to concatenate those stars. That should be good there. And then let's just set this equal to that. And there we go. So we're getting there. Age squared has a super low standard error, so that's why we're getting these zeros here. That's fine, I suppose. Ignore, and this is going to be our final column that we're going to be using in the analysis. So next, I'm going to just hide these over here somewhere. I'm going to hide that column. We don't need it. And then after that, we can go ahead and start building out the final table and how it's going to look. So let's go ahead and hide these. We could maybe copy this stuff over and do it somewhere else. So let's do that. Let's copy this. Copy, paste values, and take these, copy, paste values. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to show all of it's otherwise going to be a huge table, and if you get into some other econometric models, you may have loads and loads of control variables. So we're just not going to use all the control variables, and I'll show you how we're going to still mention in the table that we did use other controls. So the ones that I will include, however, are some of the more common ones. So like age and age squared. I'm going to cut those columns. And I'm going to put them above gender. This is a little annoying, so I'm going to make it actually manually 0.000, again with the apostrophe so that it doesn't think that well, I'll show you if we do it without that, it'll just give us a 0. So if we put the apostrophe, it'll give us exactly what we put behind it. Ignore these. Okay, and now that we have these, I think I'll just include these. I'll make a very small table, and let's just not worry about these, just because it'll take longer to mess with. Well, that's not true. Let me use one of these so that you can see something. So I'm going to hide those for now. But we do have the race variable here. Remember, that's categorical and it's relative to a base category. So if we insert another column there, I'm going to do race, and the base category equals Asian. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to shift them over a little bit so that we know these are all under here. And then maybe just to give it a little difference here, let's put those here. There we go. Okay. So then, now that we have that, we can compare, say, any categorical variable to the base category. We have here, we can start adding some of the stuff to the top of this table. So first of all, let me see here. Okay, so up here, let's just put, say, OLS estimates, and let's get this on 2 lines. And that's, so if you want to add a line break automatically with Excel, do Alt-Enter, and that'll get you what you need. Let's make these a little bit bigger to just give a little bit more differentiation between the estimates. That's too much. And then we're going to do bottom formatting and top formatting. And I don't know, maybe we can do just a touch more. Oh, shoot. Let me grab mail, cut that. Insert cut cells. And let's just give this some space. Okay. Hide that. Alright, so let's give this just a touch more space. And format paint all of these. And then what we can do is we can say other controls, yes, and then we're going to put something else down at the bottom that's going to mention what other control variables we use. We could put in, for example, our R squared, say, 16.8, our number of observations, 38,077. Observations, 38,077. R squared, and what we can do there is highlight the 2, superscript that, and that was 0.168. Center those, and yeah, and so maybe I don't know, I kind of actually like how those are adjusted. Let's just take those and move them over a touch. There. Okay, next we could put up here, for example, our dependent variable, earnings. Maybe we want to say log earnings. And then we can say, for example, table 1, OLS earnings model, whatever. Okay, now we're just about done, actually. And Oh, maybe one more thing we could do is, for example, insert another column here, and sometimes people might put, say, from that original regression where I did just the two, like this, I could put in the 11 and the 0.23 right there as a separate, and then leave all of these blanks with, perhaps just, blank lines like that. Let's not worry about that for now, but, theoretically you could have multiple columns in this same table. Then, let's go ahead and get some, let's make these also a touch bigger. This needs to be, let's make the table a little wider. Less estimates. Let's do, let's just put one at the bottom, and then we can say, less estimates, NSCG 2019, National Survey of College Graduates 2019. We can write that down here as well. Source, National Survey of College Graduates. (2019). NSCG. Let's do it like this. Or let's do it like this. We'll put 2019 in the front. Okay, and then other controls, and then there, you can just write down all these other controls that we used. We had age, race, gender, working spouse, U.S. citizenship. We had parental education. What else? Field of study. No, we didn't use field of study. That's it. So, and actually, just because I think it would be nice to have all those on one line, just make it a little bigger again. That'll be fine. Come over here to view, get rid of the grid lines, and it's starting to come together here. Maybe the last thing that we're going to do, I think we're basically done. Let's maybe bold that. Let's bold all these. Why not? Get rid of that. And yeah, I think we should be good to go. The last thing that you should do is make sure that you format this in the same way as your paper. And copy that. Get it into Word. And so what I like to do when I copy these into Word is, instead of just Control-C, Control-V, if you paste that as Control-V, it'll mess up all the, nice formatting you spent time on. And so instead of doing it like that, copy it from over here, Control-C, and then if you want it to look exactly as you have it in Excel, bring it over here and do a paste picture. And I like to center that. And then there you go, got your table. So yeah, that's the gist of it. Hopefully this, oops, actually look, that's a problem. Make this slightly bigger. Yeah, there we go. And you have your table. So hopefully that helps. If you wanted to make it smaller, you could. Generally speaking, you might end up having multiple columns there, but nonetheless, yeah, that's how you can manually get some get some OLS regression tables made. So hopefully that helped. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. And yeah, see you in the next video. Thanks.